Hello, everyone. Hello. I'm Nick Hughes, and this is
Dawn Hallybone.
And we are from Redbridge, and we're representing the Redbridge Games Network today, which is a collection of a number of our schools in Redbridge. Oops. This is us. If you weren't sure, I'm Nick. And that's Dawn.
Don't get the two confused.
Don't get the two confused. And I'm just going to start off. We're going to switch in between, so you'll get a little bit of both of us today, and also from other schools as well. Who we are is basically, in Redbridge, we've been doing gaming in a lot of different schools. There's a number of schools all over the place. My school started doing it, Dawn's school started doing it, and slowly over the last couple of months, probably over the last couple of years actually, it's starting to develop, and I spotted within my role, because as well as working at primary school, I also work across the borough as an advisory teacher in AST. I started to spot all these schools all working on the same thing, but of course not talking to each other about it, or not as much. And so I decided to try and bring us all together, and this is Dawn speaking at even games-based, or is it handheld? Okay, yeah. To pull all these schools together to actually try and start beginning to create a community. And so at the moment, we've got 6 schools, in fact maybe even 7 schools at the moment, all working together on games-based learning, looking at how do we use games in the classroom, how do we make them effective, and what we can do with them.
So why do we need to look at games? Well, really, why not? All our children are gamers at home, so why are we not using that gaming technology they're using at home in school? Ollie's already mentioned him, but it's really from Derek and the work they do in Constellarium. And we're all about sharing and stealing ideas, which I think is a great way to go forward. So we take a lot of our inspiration from Scotland and the work they do in Constellarium and see what they're doing and try and make it to our own. So what we've been doing with the network is looking at using Wii's primarily, this latest project, and using a variety of different games within the 7 schools, because there's junior schools and primary schools, so across the whole age range, to see, as Ollie's mentioned as well, a contextual hub, not just to improve the writing, but to have it as a cross-creative curricular project with a game sort of there at the base, but not really being about the game either. So that's what we're doing at the moment.
And just to add on that, it's really important. There's such a breadth of software out there, all these off-the-shelf games. We decided as a network to go, well, what are the really good ones? Because we decided we'd take it upon ourselves to decide what are the good ones, which we can then tell to other schools, this was really good, and so then save a bit of the legwork, because that's part of the issue.
It was a tough day deciding which games to use.
Playing the Wii all day in a room was good.
Very hard.
But, so what are our aims? Our aims, we decided to set up a number of aims for our network, and these are the main ones we did. We basically want to investigate, can they be used to enhance learning? And over the course of lots of discussions and the group meeting, we decided on these 3 main aims, which was to investigate effective use of handheld technologies, to develop and explore children as creators of games. That was something which my school's been working on in particular, and I'll talk about that in a moment, and to see if immersive worlds can be used to encourage and enhance children's literacy skills. So they were our 3 main things. We wanted to try and decide. It's such a big topic, we needed to focus ourselves just a bit. And these are the main 3 things our network's been using. Most of the schools in our network have got DSs in some way, and at the beginning of our project, when I first announced the network, I managed to get some funding off of my borough, off of Redbridge, which we were very appreciative for, and we managed to put into our schools a number of Wii's in order to try and look at using them as hubs, contextual hubs for learning, and looking at them to support literacy. And so within that, we were investigating, can they be used to enhance story writing and things along those lines. 2DIY is something which I think my school's been looking at probably the most, which is looking at children as creators of games, them actually making something. And I've got a couple of the children from my class here today to talk, not now, but later on downstairs, who'll be talking more about this. Yeah. And you're very right, Tim. Yes, yesterday in Tim's presentation, 2 of the children in my class made a game in 20 minutes in Tim's presentation.
But however, it's not really about the game, which sounds a bit odd, seeing as we're at a games-based learning conference talking about games and learning. For us, as Nick said, we've looked at the breadth of games, and there's a huge variety out there to use in school. And Ollie sort of mentioned it in his presentation as well. It's that whole narrative and stories, and it's getting children to learn without realising they're learning. And the game is just a very, very small part of what we do. In fact, in terms of gameplay, it's very small. And when we mention where we're up to in games to adults, they're like, is that as far as you got? And we're like, well, that's as far as we needed to get, because it's not about the game. One of my children came up with this great phrase. When I asked them in the class, we were using games, you know, what do you think about using games? And she did a presentation about the use of games in the classroom, and she termed it secret learning. We know we're learning this, but you kind of make it secret. And I was just like, I love your phrase. I am stealing your phrase. I will use it in every presentation from now on, because it is the best thing I know. Instead of saying games-based learning, we now call it secret learning. The children are quite aware of it, so it really probably isn't that secret. But for them to come up with the phrase, I just think was brilliant. And I was just like, love it. So that's what we call it, secret learning.
Excellent. Moving on. Right, now we're going to talk specifically about each school now. I'm going to talk about mine, and Dawn's going to talk about hers, and also we've got special guest stars via video who are going to talk about their schools, because it is a network. It's not just me and Dawn, we just happens to be the faces of it today. This picture is a picture I took in my school, and this really epitomises really what I thought I wanted games to be in the classroom. We're doing exactly the same thing here. We're doing research projects, that's all it was. But we are using laptops and DSs in the classroom. It was a really great atmosphere because I just gave the children the opportunity. We're doing research, and the new DSIs, if you're unaware of it, you can surf the internet on them. And so I literally just put them out, off you go, you've got your research project, and they picked what they wanted to. So I had kids using laptops, kids using DSs, really engaged, all on task, but just making it part of the day-to-day routine of the classroom, and that's really what we want to encourage or at least I want to encourage in my school, and we want to encourage in all the schools in the network. So some of the things we've been doing, we've been looking at Mario Kart and Wii Sports Resort. And weirdly, the Wii Sports Resort stuff, everything we've done in my school, because I've got a number of teachers really enthused by it, Year 4, Year 5 and Year 6. A number of people have all been getting involved in it. And the Wii Sports Resort, I don't think we've even played the sports bit. It's the flyby bit, if anyone's played it before, the bit where you fly the plane around the island. That's the bit we've been using. I've used it in my own class, and Year 5's used it. And they're just doing leaflets or reports about the island. And so it's not really what the game's about, always one tiny bit of the game, but that's the bit we've been playing and using. And equally, Mario Kart I did in my own class, and we looked at doing commentaries. Commentaries is a hard thing to do, and it's always football. Sadly, I don't like football. I'm a boy and I don't like football, fair enough. But I really liked the Mario Kart, and so I was getting the kids to do a commentary live in class as we were playing it, and then we even did it in an assembly in front of all the school as part of our work, which was a really brilliant thing. And we also did some work to do with newspaper reports and reporting on the events of the race, and so we pretended to be Yoshi in this case, and we all wrote about it. So this was a really, really nice piece of work. Other things we've done, this is the 2 DIY stuff we've been doing. This is a project I've been working on with Too Simple for the last about 6 weeks now, and looking at kids in my class making games. And so we were looking at quite an advanced aspects of 2 DIY. I don't know if anyone's looked at it, but on one level you can make fairly straightforward games and very good games, but then there's an extra level of really advanced programming which we've started to teach them. And of course, where we wanted to take this was the children as the teachers, and I have one of my teachers sitting in the audience here who video conferenced with Jessie over there. Hello, Jessie. She video conferenced with another school, Wissenden School, up north somewhere, which Tim was working with yesterday, and they actually did the teaching. They were the teachers. We imparted the knowledge. It was really good, really nice to see. So both of them did this. And if you want to see more of that, go down to the Too Simple stand later, because they'll be doing it live and teaching loads of people how to do it. And they're looking scared now at the front, but they'll be fine. They'll be great. Right, so that's one thing we're doing. The other thing also, and this was a controversial one, is we were looking at using the Wii for PE. My Year 4 PE coordinator liked what I said about the Wii, thought it was interesting. And he went, oh, can I give it a go? And I was really pleased that he wanted to, because he's the PE coordinator. So I thought, much better coming from him. I'm not a PE expert by any means. I'm really not. And he took it, and by no means, it's not a replacement for PE, but we have this issue in our school of when it rains, we have nowhere else to go. We don't have enough space in our school on one of our PE slots. It's either outside or you get wet. And so when it's raining too bad, what do you do instead? And this is what he started to look at. And using the Mario and Sonic in class in a way which get everyone involved, everyone active, and then from that he even started to do literacy work as well. It just naturally came out of it, which is a really nice result. I was doing a similar thing, which is this picture here, which says look at the background, where I had some kids on the Wii and other kids in the classroom doing sort of simple skills activities. I did break 2 lights doing this, or the kids did, but it was just an interesting way. It's just experimenting to see what we can do with it. And I've got another teacher in Year 5, in fact, who's also sitting in the audience, started to use the Wii Fit board. I know we're not going to get 30 Wii Fit boards for the class, but actually just had one Wii Fit board, and all the other kids in the class in the hall were copying the same movements, and then they were switching every sort of 30 seconds. And it was really clever. So there's a video on our blog, which I'll show you the site later, which you can have a look at. And it was really powerful to watch, and I really want to have a go at it myself in my own class, but I haven't quite got there yet because I'm busy doing other things as well. But yeah, so that was really good. So the PE thing was quite interesting. Right, I'm going to quickly have to switch between showing this video because the sound's too low, and I'm going to show you a video of that teacher quickly talking for about a minute about what he is doing, and then we'll move on to the next school, which is Dawn. Please open. Please open. Computers never work when they're supposed to, do they? Yay.
I've been using the Wii Fit quite a bit in class recently. One of the ways that I've been using it is in PE, and we've been using the Wii Fit board. One of the main areas we've been using is the step-in game. What we do is, one child will actually be using the Wii board itself. The rest of the class will be using their own separate areas, using a floor area as an imaginary Wii Fit board. It's quite hard at first to try and get the children sort of change at the appropriate times, but as soon as they get used to it and you've prepped that in advance, then they can quickly change in between. The children get a good workout and it's really fun and enjoyable for all the children involved. Another way that I've been using it is using the Wii Sports Resort game, and for that using the island flyover so that the children can gain further information about the island itself. We then use that to create non-chronological reports and also use desktop publishing programs to write up these reports about the different areas of the island, different activities you can do and different landmarks that are contained on the island. Also, we have created leaflets as well to try and advertise. It's really good for their persuasive writing and writing to a particular audience, and also their non-chronological reports.
That's from my school, and we're going to move on straight away. I'm not going to go back to the presentation because it's too quiet in the presentation. To quickly show you a video from Maze Park School in Redbridge, which is one of our other network schools, and she again has got 1 minute to quickly say what she's been doing in her school, and then it is on to Dawn.
Okay, my name's Sandra Lee and I'm the ICT coordinator for Maze Park Primary School. We've been using the Wii in lots of different ways, but the most recent in literacy, we're using the Wii Carnival to look at writing instructions. We chose to play lots of different games, and it was quite difficult and quite challenging for the children to write the instructions because they had to translate a physical movement that was shown on the screen to a set of written instructions. As well as doing that, we've used the DSs in guided reading sessions to help us develop our vocabulary using Word Coach, and we've used them in our maths lessons for using brain training as well. We also had plans in the summer to create a unit of work for Year 4 based on the habitats topic, in which we'll be using endless ocean and safari topic to compare and contrast two environments.
Excellent. Right, so now we're going to move on to our other school in the network, which of course is Dawn, who's here, so she'll talk live. And of course now I've mucked up where I am, because Prezi never works for me. Yay. Ah, excellent. Dawn.
This is where we started 2 years ago, was with the brain training that Sandra mentioned. And this is just normal classroom, pencil and papers and the DSs. But the children really feel that the learning is in their hands, which is what they enjoy about using the DSs. All the quotes are from the children, they're not from me, because I think the children are much better speakers about their use of the games than I am. So that's where we started. We then didn't have the DSs in school for a while, and that was deliberate. We first had the DSs as part of a project from the borough, so we didn't have to pay for them, we sort of borrowed them for a term. And we wanted them starting to go away a bit, to first of all investigate what games were out there online, and also to see what the reaction of the children, staff and the governors was when we didn't have the technology. We discovered Tut Park, which is a great online maths and spelling, and also Motion Monsters, which is just delightful, and the children can go in and be monsters, they can write diaries about the monsters, and using that instead of a game on the DS or the Wii. However, we then bought in our own DSs and obviously part of the network with the Wii. One of the big projects we did last summer was with Year 6, and we looked at Professor Layton and his Curious Village, and the children in gameplay again only got up to as far as if you played it when Simon collapses. which isn't very far. But we didn't need to go any further because the children then went off and created their own curious villages. So you can see at the top we've got Dolgan Village. But every time it stops and there's a number, the children had also written a puzzle to go with that. They'd written character descriptions around the game. The game was huge and lasted for 3 weeks when we'd originally only planned it to last for 1. But the enthusiasm of the children was great, so we just kept going with it. And I think sometimes you have to do that as a teacher, is have the trust in the children as well and think, this is working. I'm going to go with it. I'm meeting objectives. The children are engaged with their learning, so why not? Mist with Tim in the room. We also use Mist. Tim and Sarah were lucky enough to have them at our school for a day and work with children. And we now use Mist in Year 4. And this is one of the displays of their journeys into an imaginary world, using a variety of ICT as well as writing techniques. And one of the best quotes I've ever heard from a Year 4 child, I went in to see them and they were working out the balls. They had to get the balls lined up, the towers. And I said, do you like using Mist? And he turned around and said, Mist, can I tell you something? I said, go on then. He went, when I use Mist, the words pop into my head. And I just thought, oh, fantastic, my work here is done. But it was just that lovely moment. And he wasn't a natural writer. And it was just like he just wanted to write. So for us, that's another game we use. This is a new game I used just before Christmas with my children. It's called Another Code R. And it's a story based on Ashley as the character in the middle. The examples around the outside, again, of the children's writing. So Another Code R, Ashley goes back, she meets her dad, her mum, she doesn't really know what's happened, it's a series of flashbacks. It's fantastic, the graphics are visually stunning, and the children are in the game and they're moving around the game. So what we asked them to do at one point, Ashley gets off the bus, she goes to see her dad, gets off the bus, she then gets whacked across the back of the head. It's fine, it's not a violent game, it's not one of the games that Ollie was talking about at the end. It's a 7+, it's fine. But we asked the children to divide the class in half, and half of them had to imagine they were Ashley, and the other half were the people who whacked her over the back of the head. And so there you've got the examples of the writing about comparing the two different characters, and then the characters came together in the room. So Ashley met the person who hit her over the back of the head, and they had this discussion. It was just like, well, I did it because I was paid for it. And she was like, well, yeah, but well, why did you want the bag? And we didn't know why they wanted the bag. And that was part of the mystery. And the children go through the game and they discover it themselves, and they're in control all the time, which is just brilliant. It's not just in Year 6 that we use it. Year 4 do the Olympics as part of their Greek topic. So we did Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, and that was their planning that came up for it, where they used it cross-curricular for the whole week. They started in the playground, and they had a mini-Olympics, and they were all set up in teams. Then the same teams went back into the classroom, and each afternoon competed in the Olympics. And when they came off from doing a javelin or the 100 metres, another team was there to interview them straight away. It's like, so how did you feel in that race? Were you glad you won? And they're like, yes, it was fantastic. And so what's your training schedule been like? And they were completely in this game, and at the end they finished and they had a medal ceremony, and in the class they all stood up and they really commented on what they enjoyed, and cooperation was huge. So it's another project that's been going on in Year 4. This is a different one that we started before Christmas, using the WeFit board like Nick, but in a different way. We've used 3 children that have highlighted with dyspraxic tendencies in our school, and we're calling it WeHab. So 3 times a week, they go along with their TA, and they use the, I don't know if you've used the WeFit, but they don't do the, the yoga, or they use the balance activities, which are quite incredibly hard, or whether I am not very spatially aware. But you have to sort of head the ball, and it's all about coordination. It's great, and they're using that to improve their control, their coordination. Now, the children don't know that we're using them sort of as an exercise and looking to see how it improves them. But I spoke, there's a Year 3 boy, Year 5 boy, and a Year 5 girl. And I spoke to the Year 3 boy a couple of weeks ago, and I said, do you like using the WeFit? And he went, yeah. He said, I never realised, but I'm good at PE. I went, well, were you not good at PE beforehand? He was like, well, no, I don't think so. I couldn't really do anything, but now I love it. And his self-esteem is just like growing because of it. Now, yes, we've taken data. We did a test at the beginning. We're doing it each term to see if there's an improvement. But I think just from talking to the children about how their own self-esteem and image is improving from using the games, it is good enough, really, for me. Special events. We actually stole piracy again. Jill's idea at Gavin, I was following on Twitter and seeing what she was doing. And we just had one day of the Winter Olympics, which we did it to launch when the Winter Olympics started, but we also borrowed the podcast that she used in her school about learning Norwegian, Japanese and Russian. And each year group learned a different language, and we all said hello to each other in assembly. We did symbols, mascots, banners, we had alpine skiing going on, speed skating, all in different classrooms. And that's all we did for a whole day. And it was just brilliant. The children were totally enthused. We then had Olympic reporters that went away, have written stuff on the 2012 blog and on the 2012 Paralympic blog. And it's really inspired them to watch the Olympics. After all, it's coming to our city, so it's a nice way in. Computer games in the classroom. I said it wasn't about the game. And we've also used it as a discussion point, using Twitter in the classroom, by putting out tweets going, you know, should computer games be used in the classroom? Let's hear your thoughts. And using them to discuss with the children, whether they thought they should be for or against. At first when we did this, it was unnaturally quiet in my classroom, because I told them it had to be discussion. They had to come up with arguments both for and against. And it was all quite quiet, which unnerves me slightly. I was like, well, what's the matter? And they went, Miss, yeah, if we do this and we come up with loads of reasons why we shouldn't use computer games, are you going to take them away from us? No, we need to get balanced discussion. We need both sides. And it was great. And they were very well informed. Jo Frost on there has a lot to answer. They'd all watched her programme. They'd all watched it. And, oh, no, computer games are going to make us violent. They're going to be really bad for us. But it was a 1-hour literacy lesson that lasted a whole morning because they were so engaged with the topic. So it doesn't have to be about a game per se. And lastly, we've gone into Roman times. Year 3 are studying Romans as part of their topic. So each Year 3 class has the Wii once a week. They move around the Roman. They have tasks to do. You can stab. Sounds really violent again, doesn't it? But they're immersed in it, and they find fact books along the way. And Year 3 are loving it, and then they're going to write in their diaries. After they've used it, they have Roman logbooks where they write up what they've been doing each week. So that's where we are at the moment.
Thank you very much, Dawn.
Right,
that's not the end, though.
There's
more, sorry.
Sorry.
That sounded like the end there, Dawn. Sorry, right. We've just got 2 more schools. I'm going to quickly show you a video of what they've been doing as well, because I want to make sure that this is the network speaking. It's not just me and Dawn. And so this is Cranbrook School in Redbridge, and this is what they're doing.
My name's Hughes Charles, and I work at Aldersbrook Primary School. We've been using the Wii for persuasive writing, looking at whether the children think that the Wii Fit is appropriate for younger children. We got the children to brainstorm for and against why it was appropriate or not appropriate, and then I actually got children to go through the process of loading a profile where they had to weigh themselves and get their height measured. For some of the children this was really challenging because they had to then deal with whether they were overweight, underweight or their ideal weight. In numeracy we've been using Sonic and Mario at the Olympics, collecting data to then find the mean, mode, median and range.
Cool. That was Aldersbrook, not what I said. And this is Cleveland, who are doing, again, different things. So every single school on our network is doing slightly different things. So we'll quickly show this 30 seconds.
Hi, my name's Angel. I'm from Cleveland Junior School, and I'm the ICT coordinator.
Hi, I'm Simon, and I'm from Cleveland Junior School also, and I'm the ICT instructor.
We've been using the Wii in a lot of different ways. We've also been using the VSs. We've mostly been using the VSs for maths work. We're using brain training. And that's been kind of a daily 2-week plan where the children actually do different activities and we call this scores. We've also been using Zach and Wiki in Year 3 in simulations. It's been really fun and interactive because the children, simulations can be a bit dry. By using Zach and Wiki, it's quite a nice collective class. They've been kind of deciding how to make the characters develop and how to move them on and how to get past certain problems. So it's actually really quite interesting.
I've been using Super Mario Bros. Wii for creative writing. I took 10 Year 6 boys who struggled with creative writing due to their SATs, and we had them playing the game for maybe 10-20 minutes or so, and they decided to create their descriptive words on a Wordle about certain worlds, and then we made up character profiles for each character, and then we're going to use both of them sets of work to make a fan fiction, so they're going to take the point of view of a Mario character or another character from the world, and continue and make a story about that world.
I really like what Simon's saying at the end there about using Mario Brothers Wii, because we never even discussed that, and the schools are coming up with their own ideas from this. Right, moving on towards the end, because it is coming, is basically just very quickly the views of it. These are the reasons why we thought it was important to be part of the network. These are the words the staff, the teachers thought. The main thing was resources enhancing, camaraderie. Yeah, that's the way you say it. But basically working together, it's a place to share ideas and think, and a sort of a safe environment where we can try all these things out. And we asked a similar question to the children, of course, of what is the benefit.
And the best thing for us as the teachers who like sharing with resources was the 3 words at the bottom, that the children think we're now having exciting learning, that they're cooperating with, and as teachers in the network, that's all we could ask for already after doing it for less than a year. So.
Because it was only in September that the network was officially formed. Right, views of Ofsted. Do we care that much? I suppose we should, but these are statements made about my school and Dawn's school about using technology in our schools. I'm not going to go on that too much. Basically, where next?
We're going to continue using the Nintendos and the DSs, and I know we've mentioned Nintendo a lot, but I just want to say we're not a Nintendo network, we're a games network, which is where the 2DIY comes into it and where we're moving in the future, which I'll let Nick explain where we'd like to go next. Yes, we're going to keep the Nintendos, but...
Cool. Yeah, we are going to move on. Something we were quite excited by to move on to is trying to look at MFL with the DSs and trying to look at French. There's a French training game and in Spanish and Japanese as well. So that's something we're quite interested in. And equally in 2DIY to try and develop schemes of work around this to try and actually give people some guidance on it, especially the more advanced functions behind it to help people out with it, because it's not necessarily easy. Or is it easy? I don't know. The kids can do it, so maybe it is easy. Where we'd like to go, this is something which is quite interesting in the network, augmented reality, the PSPs, the Invisimals, that's it. I really like that game, and I'm quite excited by that. So we'd like to go here. This is somewhere we'd like to go to. Equally, to be honest, anything I'd like to go to, anything which is really interesting gaming. Kodu I really like. I think that's really interesting. Little Big Planet I really like as well. But I really like Kodu, especially sort of moving 2DIY is one side, moving on to looking at other bits of gaming as well. To get that in the classroom. Kodu I quite like because it's free. But Little Big Planet I do like the idea of as well. So that's something we'd like to go into. This is something vital. I don't know if anyone's heard of this before, but they do CPD training. All of the stuff from this presentation will be on their website as well as the videos, and hopefully that will be a beginning of a longer partnership to try and develop some more resources around that.
Sorry, can I also say with Vital as well, all the work we've done, all the schools that have used the games and how they've used them is up there as a brief outline, or will be up there as a brief outline of how we've done it on the Vital website as well.
So you've got a short, very quick read of how to do this in your own schools. Of course, the other place to go, of course, is our network blog, which is redbridgegamesnetwork.blogspot.com, which all of the schools have access to, and so there is constantly new stuff being updated and blogged about, videos, talks, ideas for lessons, planning, all of that sort of stuff. That's mine and Dawn's contact details. Please come and chat to us if you're interested, because I know it's a Redbridge Games network, but I much like it to be a much wider network, because in the end, we are using, games are out there, we want to use them in schools, and I think we do in the UK in particular. Scotland, you're lucky. In the UK, we need to actually start thinking about it and really trying to pull ourselves together to get some sort of some good ideas all together, and so those people who aren't perhaps quite as confident can all use games in a real positive way in their schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you.